So first we were told the fight was very, very close to happening, and then it's 99.9% close to happening, and then Frank Warren kind of awkwardly announces that it is on, without it still being official. That's regarding Tyson Fury against Deontay Wilder. But regardless, Tyson Fury defeats Francesco Pianeta over 10 rounds, showing he is able to go 10 rounds still. The fight wasn't fought at any kind of pace. He didn't really fight to any kind of plan, Tyson Fury. He looked like to me like a guy who was experimenting. He was fighting at different ranges. He was leaning on Pianeta, using his weight, throwing in uppercuts, trying to bully him at times. You know, he was switching it up in there. He was probably seeing how his body felt while trying to, as I say, drill it into some kind of condition. Pianeta was getting a little bit braver at the end, realising he was about to cross the finish line and was like, come on, hit me a bit harder. I realise I'm about to last the distance here, and you can always take a bit of pride in that. So he was... he was a little bit more animated near the end. But what can you say about that? The fact that Pianeta didn't even really present a threat, it's hard to really say where Tyson Fury's conditioning is right now. You saw the spare flesh. You know, the weight was low, 258, but it's all about conditioning, and he didn't look particularly conditioned. He looked far more taut, of course, against Klitschko back in 2015. You could see his conditioning was much better then. Forget the weight, whether he was heavier, whether they tampered with the scales. That doesn't mean anything. You know, that's just John Fury trying to kick up a bit of magic dust to get you confused and think, oh, is he lighter now? He's probably better now. No. You know, the reality is Fury, to me, looked like a guy who might still be suffering reflexes-wise from his big blowout. And if Wilder is indeed next, I have to favour Wilder. I would make him at least a 3-1 on favourite. Again, it's hard to gauge because Fury wasn't against anybody who posed a threat, and if he did, and somebody who could perhaps force him into some defensive postures, I could see how he'd react, what his defences would be like, what his reflexes would be like when put under true pressure, or somebody with a comparative reach, talent, etc. But as things stand, if Wilder's next, if it is in December, I have to favour the Bronze Bomber, as wild as he is, to set up Fury and land one of those big rights at some point. He can actually throw a pretty good counter right hand as well, Wilder. He can be messy. I've said this before, Wilder can be messy in a fight. He can look terrible for rounds, but then he can suddenly just seize his body up, look for a shot. And he did it even with King Kong against Ortiz. He can throw a pretty vicious right-hand counter as well once he draws you onto him with that kind of open guard he has, which invites an attacker, which makes you go, oh, right, this guy's open, I'm going to come in. But then he's quite athletic and kind of elastic, and he'll go boom. And that right hand, he loads it up like a medieval trebuchet, and it goes right down to your heels. And Fury, to me, he does look like a guy who, I know he has to get the conditioning down, but there's something about the way he was moving, a little bit stuck in the mud or rickety. Am I proven to be wrong? But it looked like a guy who was jaded from the blowout he's had with all the cocaine, with all the stuff, and just a huge degree of inactivity. You know, Tony Bellew, whatever you say about him, he's a good analyst, and I think he really does believe this layoff that Fury's had is going to be have a really corrosive effect, and he's not going to be able to get back to the man he was. That may prove to be the case. It's still going to be an exciting prospect, Tyson Fury against Deontay Wilder, but I have to favour the Bronze Bomber if it comes off next. As I say, at least a 3-1 on favourite, and to take him out within first half of the fight, maybe later, who knows. I have to favour him. For Fury, he is going to have to go leaps and bounds now in the next few months and have top quality sparring and absolutely everything. And if he was hiding something in the locker here and he was just really doing what he likes, perhaps we couldn't see, perhaps shades of the Fury who fought Klitschko and really did fight to a plan and was super alert every round and had a fear inside of him which really sharpened his performance. Perhaps he will bring that into the ring against Wilder, but that's yet to be seen. But as Frank Warren said, it's on, or apparently it is. I don't know when it's going to be announced. But as things stand, Fury, he looked okay, but to jump from the likes of Pianeta to Wilder next, I have to favour the Bronze Bomber.